Hi, Evan. Welcome to AVENUE.B, a space where we explore customers and strategy and design by understanding customers emotionally, socially, and cognitively. We'll equip you with actionable frameworks to think with more emotional intelligence and understand people better and build brands that people still believe in. Today, I'm here with Evan Day, a marketing and neuromarketing strategist who is currently receiving his PhD in psychology. He's vice president of digital marketing at BriteCap Financial and also has his own LinkedIn newsletter, No BS Marketing, which is real world neuromarketing and practical insights to elevate your marketing. We'll go through the 6 core principles of persuasion, which are reciprocity, scarcity, authority, consistency, liking, and consensus. These are widely used in modern marketing, but it's difficult to kind of apply them to real-world marketing. These are grounded in behavioral science and applicable to influence human decision-making and perception. And we'll try to connect these 6 principles to actionable implications in branding, email marketing, and general marketing. Hi, Evan. It's lovely to have you here.
Yeah, it's great to see you again. I think last time we chatted, you were just graduating from Parsons, so it's cool to connect again.
Yeah, exactly. We connected on my capstone thesis, Neurosprints. You were already the neuromarketing expert.
I don't know about that, but
Or psychology. So I'd love to start with kind of the first principle, which is reciprocity. And it's a very human thing that people want to return favors or tend to return favors. Yep. So the reciprocity bias is kind of if you offer something of value up front, which could be information or a small gift, with the purchase, for example, that can increase the likelihood of someone returning the favor or then buying your product or your subscription. So my question is, how can brands leverage this bias without necessarily giving too much value upfront or without giving their service or IP away without really knowing if they will get it back? How can you tap into reciprocity?
yeah, this is my favorite one, and the one that I lean into the most in my professional world. I think gone are the days of marketing and sales where you could just hammer people and pitch, and just spam people with emails and things like that. I think we're coming back to giving value and just what I like to consider being a good person, being a good human, treat people how you want to be treated. So provide for them. You kind of make like deposits in a bank, and then when you're ready for your ask, then you can kind of ask for them to give back. And people just don't like to owe other people. It's just kind of how we are. I don't think we would have survived or made it as far as we did if people weren't returning favors. If one person was just never giving back, they get excluded and kind of kicked out of groups. And now you go into the whole community aspect. We all need our community, so it's just hardwired into us to return the favor, and we don't want to owe people. Before this morning, before we jumped on the call, I was looking up a couple experiments that kind of, I think, really explained this really well, and I found one that I thought was really interesting. This guy from Chicago, back when they used phone books, which is kind of weird to think about it now. A phone book just had a list of people's names and addresses, which is like, I don't know why they decided to do that. It sounds a little weird to me. But they did that anyway. This guy pulled 500 people at random and mailed them a Christmas card. 20% of the people returned, sent them their own Christmas card. So 20 people responded
to
and
a
sent back their own
stranger.
Christmas. 500 complete strangers, 20% returned the Christmas card, just reciprocating what was given to them. I think that's amazing.
Wow.
I send direct mail. I mean, of course, they're not Christmas cards. Like, I'm sending marketing mail. we get excited if we get a 2% response rate. And this guy just got 20% response rate from complete random strangers, which I
Do you know
thought
if it was
just,
handwritten?
I don't know. That's a good question. I didn't dive too deep into that. I bet it was. Actually, maybe I don't know. 500 handwritten.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it sounds a lot. But I mean,
I'd
anyway, it's just
imagine
crazy.
like the personal touch could be a factor.
Yeah. But just like 500 complete strangers and 20%. Like that's a lot. 20% is a lot.
Yeah.
And then there was a second study where this was restaurant based, and they were measuring tips that they get back. So one waitress would leave 0 pieces of candy, and then a second waitress, obviously on a different table, would leave like 1 after dinner mint. That was a 3% increase in the tips received. Then they had another waitress, so they had a third variant, would leave 2 pieces per person. That got a 14% lift. So just by kind of doubling what you were giving, increased the tip. And then they did a fourth variant where the server walked up to the table, gave or left enough candy for 1 piece per person, turned around, started to walk away, stopped, turns back, and drops down more, so everyone gets 2 now. And that raised the tips by 23%. So that like kind of delight and surprise was
sure.
just kind of that extra, I guess, cherry on top, I guess. But yeah, I mean, people just love to give back. They want to be equal. There's like that equilibrium. You don't want to throw that off balance. I have proof. Like I've done this at BriteCap. So at BriteCap we lend people money, small businesses. If you own a bar or for your podcast, if you want to get like a brand new studio or something, we would lend you whatever money it is. Our most profitable part of the business is when we renew that loan. So say we lend you money, you pay it back, and then we go back to you and try to renew you a loan because you prove that you pay us back. You're a great customer. So anyway, we call that a renewal rate. And by redesigning our lifecycle marketing based upon this bias, I've increased the renewal rates by 2%, or not 2%, 2x the renewal rates. It went from 15 to just under 30% renewal rate. And we did this by just giving. So when someone signs a contract with us, we ship them a bottle of champagne. It's like, here's a toast to a new partnership between BriteCap and you. It's signed by our CEO. Then a couple weeks later, we're sending them another small gift. It's a business book. So we have account managers, and this book is sent on behalf of the account owner. It's like, hey, this is my favorite business book. Thought you might like it. Look forward to working with you, type of thing. And then a couple weeks later, like we send them another gift. They're branded Yetis. I was like, hey, has a note. Hey, we have these laying around the office. Thought you might like it. Enjoy it. Give me a call. Let me know you got it. So we're just giving.
So always saying that this is kind of like just thinking of you.
Yeah,
like
just
this is not part of the plan. This is just. There's
no strings attached. This is have it. There's nothing. Just take it. Have it. It's for you. Enjoy it. We'll send $5 gift cards for coffee.
Okay. Oh, and is there like a system behind it that you wait a couple weeks and then do it again and again? So
it's random. So I want it to be random. The only strategy to it is, so once a customer pays half of their loan, they become what we call renewal eligible. So we'll try to sell and loan that person more money because they prove to be a good customer. So at that touch point, once they become renewal eligible, we'll send them the Yeti and say, hey, just thinking of you, give me a call to let me know you got this, or, let me know what you think about it. So I guess it feels kind of wrong, but this is just marketing. Yeah.
No, like a little, and I don't want to say bribe, but like a little convincing persuasion in the middle of the commitment.
There's a reason to talk to us, easy conversation with the sales rep. But before this, we've sent them gift cards for coffee, we've sent them books, we sent them a bottle of champagne. So we've made all these deposits, and now we're ready to ask for a return of the favor. We're positioning the customer to make things equal, right? Hear us out, consider another loan, and it's up to the sales team to kind of take it over from there. So this is by far my favorite. There's hundreds of psychological theories and principles and strategies around persuasion. This is by far my favorite. I think because I've seen it work so well in the real world. Like all this, theories are great, but they don't always play out like you think they will in the real world. So it's nice to, I guess you can say I'm biased towards this one because I've seen it play out so successfully.
So let's say a brand new startup, how much can you invest in these little gifts before knowing if a stranger will actually commit to you? Like at BriteCap, you'd have like half commitment already, but if you have like let's say like a store opening or an e-commerce shop and nobody knows about it yet, where would you start to move from like a freemium model to a premium model, or where would you have that tipping point where you give and then you wait and then you start asking for something?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough question. It just kind of depends the business, and every business model is different. Every industry is different. Something else that jumps to mind is free samples. If you're a new coffee shop, you stand outside and give people like little shots of whatever, espresso or whatever, they're more likely to feel the need to kind of give back. I mean, unless they hate the way this coffee tastes, then you're just out of luck. But that's I think about the gym. When I walk into the gym, there's people with like little shot glasses of pre-workout or protein shakes that they're trying to sell. So I think of things like that, but it doesn't need to be something that costs money. Like it could be a free tool. Like if you're targeting small business owners, maybe an accounting tool, like something for them to track their books, or a tax calculator or something. It could be free like that. I think those are going to have less value and less of an impact, because now with AI, like you can pretty much build whatever you want. I think it comes back to you need to think about your business and your model. Are you willing to spend? How much are you willing to spend? Like when I did this, when I overhauled the lifecycle marketing at BriteCap, I had a budget that I had to stay within, and we were measuring. Once we kind of proved that it worked, then we rolled it out to every customer, and now we're thinking of ways to increase it. So you need to know how much money you're working with, what you're willing to spend, and you just do some math and make sure it makes sense for you.
Okay. I really love how you, in your article, put it like how to stop pushing and start engineering obligation. Yep. Because you're really like moving from push marketing to pull marketing, or almost over giving in a sense where people don't expect it because our baseline is so high.
Yep.
So I think we really have to add enough value for it to really stand out, right?
Yeah. I mean, just think about it logically. If you took out a loan with my company and I were to email you once a month saying, hey, do you want more money, versus me sending you a gift saying, hey, did you get that gift? Or, hey, here's coffee, have a great week. Like, I mean, it just makes so much sense. It's just logical to think that, I'm going to be more willing to work with you. And not only are you tapping into that bias of them like owing you, you're also building a relationship. Like this person, every time I talk to this person, something good comes out of it. I get a coffee, or I get a bottle of champagne, or I get something. So every time I see the brand, I get a good feeling, and I'm wanting to see what they have to say now.
Yeah. But there's also then expectation, right?
True. Yeah.
At some point, it's like, when do I get a car?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move. Yeah, I know. Let's move to the second principle of persuasion is scarcity. So opportunities that seem limited or are limited are seen as more valuable. So emphasizing something exclusive or something that is time sensitive can heighten interest and demand. So my question is there a downside to this when you try and create a scarce experience. So let's say you open a store and you intentionally have a long queue in front of it and you don't let people in. That might attract a couple more people, but it could also annoy people that they have to, that you as a brand are seeming reserved and maybe not consumer centric. Is there sort of a balance between like being available and accessible versus reserved and limited? How could a brand navigate to create this appearance of scarcity in a way that it's valuable for the brand and not harming it?
Yeah, I think you need to. I hate to keep answering this way, but it depends on the brand and the company. You need to decide who you want to be. Like, who are you? Are you, the Porsche dealership where it's super hard to get into there, or are you Honda where you take anybody that's walking by? You need to decide who you are. When I think of scarcity, it's kind of broken into two trees or two branches. There's urgency, which is exactly what you were just saying, like fear of missing out or hurry up. There's only 5 seats left in this webinar or this show, and then there's exclusivity, like the Porsche example, or I don't think about like airports where they have those private like Amex or American Express. What are they, like clubs where you kind of hang out? So there's kind of two stems to it. People just place more value on things that are harder to get for whatever reason. Something that really sticks out to me is Kanye West. I think this is a hill I'll die on. Kanye West is a genius. He's a little bit crazy, I can admit that, but I think from a branding and marketing aspect, he's a genius. I think it may have been like 10 years ago now, he started selling sneakers for Adidas. Before he was on Adidas, he was selling sneakers for Nike. They were super limited, super rare. They were pretty ugly, but they were so limited and rare that people were paying $25,000 to $30,000 for the sneaker. And then he switched over to Adidas and then started marketing every month. He would release the same pair of sneaker, but it would be a slightly different colorway. So black with a white stripe. Next month, black with a red stripe, then black with a blue stripe. So he did this for like 3 years, and every time they would sell out instantly. It was just super exclusive, super rare. You knew that if you didn't get them within the first 30 seconds, they were gone. And then you were going to pay resale value of like thousands of dollars for a $200 pair of shoe. So I think just by limiting that and people understanding that it's now or never kind of thing, like he just exploded and made Adidas more popular than Nike, which at that time was like Nike was kind of ruling everything. I think that goes to kind of show the power there.
Also the power of personal brand over Nike and Adidas, like, or connecting them in a limited edition.
Yep. You want to kind of, you look up to these people, you look up to these celebrities, you kind of picture yourself, if you're wearing their sneaker, you can kind of like see yourself in their life type of thing. Getting back to the urgency and the scarcity, I was thinking about it this morning. I wanted to ask you to see what you thought. Are these tactics like wearing off now? Because if I go in my email box, I could probably pull 10, within 30 seconds that is like, hurry up, spots limited, or discount ends today. How, is it losing its impact? When I say this because a couple years ago, having someone's name in a subject line was like, in an email, you need to do this, you have to do this, it'll boost your response rates. And then I was studying it about a year or two ago, and there's actually now publications that suggest it hurts, or at least there's no more impact in putting it, because it just wore off. People are used to seeing their name in the subject line or their business. So is it the same thing? Like, do you think these like discounts or kind of fear of missing out type tactics, do you think that they're still working?
I think they have worn off. Like when I think of my Gmail account, especially the like Geena G, I know that that's an automated email, because I like sometimes don't put my full last name, or I just put GG, and then it's 100% automated if it's just like, hey G, what's up? And I also read that there was some sort of impact in now writing lowercase because it looks more human.
That's
So
interesting.
so people would open it. It would rather open it if it starts with a lowercase letter. Or, yeah, I definitely believe that there's some sort of baseline that we are always getting used to. And for me personally, it has a negative effect if someone wants to have me hurry up and because it's
Yeah.
30% off. And it just doesn't seem genuine anymore. So I really believe that brands should sort of, add value and surprise a little bit more. And even if you are giving a personal discount, a 25% off, it has to be like human to human, or some representative that you personally talked to and had a connection with personally, them giving their Brianna 20% discount. That feels more personal
Yeah.
than these mass emails. But in email marketing, I'm not sure. I'm not an expert at email marketing, but I'd imagine it becoming increasingly harder to stand out by email
Email,
alone.
email. Yeah, I think I hate to say it. I think email is kind of dying. And I made a career out of email marketing, so that really hurts to say, but it really is just like you can't even be personal anymore because even if you are personable, it's like, well, what AI did you use to scrape my info, to read my LinkedIn profile, to
Yeah.
put this. So even if like it could be generally someone being personal and wrote it themselves, but I'm still like, this feels like, it's way too personal. This has to be AI or something. So I don't see email working as well. I think I don't want to jump ahead because I know we were going to talk about it, but I think social is the way to go. Like social proof, influencers. I think that is really the way to lean in marketing. And I think it sucks, but I think email marketing is dying.
Yeah. Yeah, I also read, I think in one of your articles you had that that people click spam too often, even though it's not spam.
Yes, that
And
is the
then,
worst. Yeah, people don't realize how much that impacts your marketing campaigns. They just click spam because it's like even if we're not spamming you, like they just want to. Google makes it, or Yahoo or whoever, they make it so easy. Like in my inbox, it's like report as spam, report as spam. Like it's not spamming, but people just are clicking it, not knowing what they're doing, and now. The next time I want to send a legitimate email, Google's going to be like, well, they had this many people say they were spam, so it's going to go to the promotion folder, or it's just never going to get seen. So,
yeah,
yeah, that I could do like a whole hour
huge
on,
impact.
yeah,
Yeah.
people just not knowing what they're doing. But yeah,
Yeah. So anyway, the scarcity is we choose what feels, um, let's say, safest to our equilibrium, like you said earlier, and added value feels great, but losing feels worse. So people don't want to lose out on something. If you say there's only 4 left, that hurts more than if you say, oh, our service is amazing because of these 4 features. So it's all about the way you frame your offering.
yeah, framing is super important. I think I forget the exact number, but we value or something about the pain of losing hurts 2 times more, or the gain needs to be 2x more than the loss, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just value it hurts way more to lose. Think about it this way: if I were to give you $100, you would probably be happy, right? But if I were to go into your wallet and take $100, you would
That
probably
would
be
hurt
like
more.
way, yeah, that would hurt way more, right, than me just, so and that's the kind of the way I like to think of loss aversion.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, loss aversion plays into this as well, I think. Okay, so the third principle of persuasion is authority, which we also touched upon a little bit. So individuals are more likely to follow credible experts. So if a brand demonstrates knowledge or has credentials or reviews or certifications or endorsements, that can strengthen the persuasion and persuasive impact. So I know you answered this, where brands should strike a balance again between becoming an authority versus being accessible, or sophisticated versus authentic. So it always depends on the brand. But could you give your impression of how to become credible in a way that again stands out? So I'd imagine the basics are showing your credentials, and when you're pitching something, leading with a why me or why us slide, and say, this is our background, I'm an expert in this and this, I went to this university, or our brand is endorsed by this doctor. But is there a way that you would go about it?
Yeah, I think anything works. We're lazy. Humans are pretty lazy. We get, I think it's like 9 billion or 8 billion different sensory inputs that we need to make decisions on daily. So most of our decisions are made on autopilot. So any way that we could outsource our thinking, or have something do something, or just make a decision for us, will generally lead to that. Unless we're like super invested and we have our like the rational part of our brain is involved, which happens very limited. So more often than not, we're outsourcing our thinking, and having an authoritative figure or someone, like a doctor or something like that, it just makes our lives so much easier. And I know when we were getting ready for this in the intro, I asked you to add that I'm getting a PhD in psychology, not because I think it's a big deal or anything, like anybody can get it, but it adds, when we try to like promote this and share it, it's going to add that bit of credibility, because people who aren't involved in this world or don't really understand, they're just going to say, oh, he's getting PhD. Maybe he knows what he's saying. Maybe I do. Some things I do, some things I don't. But, if they're not familiar, they're just going to kind of, maybe I shouldn't say this, but they'll just blindly follow, whatever people with titles or people who give the impression that they know what they're saying. They'll just blindly follow. I think of fitness, I think, is a super great example. You have people who have the best physiques, maybe 10 or 8% body fat, but have really no idea about diets or anything. Mm-hmm. But everybody will flock to them. They'll have hundreds of thousands of followers because of the way they look. So they're positioned as an authoritative figure. They could give the worst advice, but everyone's going to follow them because they want to look like that person, right? They're just going to outsource all of their thinking and do what this person says to do. So that's just repeatable.
Okay, so you're saying outer appearance is also a sort of credibility that people
absolutely
believe.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. It's not just credentials or a badge like a police car or something. It's this person is at the peak of what I want, right? I'm trying to get in shape. This person has 8% body fat. Like, that's insane. So he's the very top. Whatever he's doing is working. So I need to listen to him. And that person could be giving great advice or could not be, but I'm going to listen because he's at the peak. Finance, if same thing. If you're talking to somebody who's trying to work on, maybe getting out of debt or trying to aspire for a new house or something, they're going to look to the person that, maybe their buddy that has a nice big house or has a big salary. They're going to listen to that person because it's like, oh, well, they're doing what I want to do, so they must know something I don't. So, let me just outsource my thinking to them.
Okay. Do you think
super powerful.
Do you think it's because of the gap between you and where you want to be, or would someone who also has 8% body fat, almost naturally, would they still believe in what the other person with 8% body fat is saying because of that credential? Or is it the gap between, oh, I want to be that?
It's the gap. I think it's the gap,
Okay.
right? Because if I'm equal, right? If we're equals, you're not at the peak. Like I'm at the peak too. Maybe we're both at the peak. So, maybe if they had a PhD or they're publishing a lot of research and I follow them on Twitter or something like that, then okay, yeah, this guy, like, he knows what he's doing. He's been to school, he has a degree. Then yes, but I think you nailed it. I think it is that gap that makes that position of authority so persuasive.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I've also read into like creating a simulation almost of what you're getting into with a purchase or with a subscription, which is why freemium works so well. Also, again, because of loss aversion, because you're simulating what it's like to already have the subscription or the product or the sample. And then people don't want to lose that, or people now know exactly what the gap was like, basically.
Yeah, yeah. That could also go with consistency, which I think is the next principle. If you give them a free trial or 7 weeks, like they say, yes, they're using your tool, they're using your software, they're YouTube Premium or whatever, and they want to stay consistent with that, so they just continue to do so. So yeah, I think those kind of play into each other.
Yeah, absolutely. With consistency or commitment, which is the fourth principle, there was an example called the endowed progress effect, where researchers gave people a loyalty card with one or two ticked off boxes already, so they had artificial progress on there, and people were more likely to complete that loyalty card than if it's a blank card. So it was 79% completion rate versus 34, which shows that if you give them initial progress, people think that they are already committed or feel like that, and they want to complete it or at least stay consistent, because that's because we're creatures of habit, probably.
Yep.
So yeah, how can a brand support a customer in building this initial commitment, or let's say if loyalty cards are not a thing in a brand or in a personal brand, how can you classify what your big purchases, and how can you make tinier commitments and kind of get them to take tiny steps to get to the big step in the end?
Yeah, you have to. I think you nailed it again. The tiny steps, get them to say yes to anything. Like, are you having a good day? Yeah, I'm having a good day. Are you feeling good? Yeah, I'm feeling good. Just get them to stack up these yeses. And I think I keep reverting back to like small business lending, but I mean, it's just, I've been in the industry now for 7 years, so it's just the way my mind works. If I'm on the phone or if I'm marketing, it's, do you want to grow your business? Yes.
Yes.
Is your business in good health? Yes. Are you looking to expand? Yes. Does the thought of having $50,000 deposited into your account sound good to you? Yes. You get them to stack up these yeses, right?
Yeah.
And then you can, okay, well, do you want to apply for a loan? Yes, because they want to be consistent, right? You've already set the bar for them. You kind of gave them the picture, and you think of your example, your loyalty card, right? They could see the finish line of that 10th, hole punch or whatever it is. Here, in this case, they could see the finish line of getting that $50,000 into their account. So now you have to guide them through the steps to get to that finish line and just be consistent with their behavior. And it comes back to like cognitive dissonance and that, keeping things balanced. If I say, yes, I want to grow my business, it's going to feel weird for me to say, no, I don't want to apply for a loan, because those two don't, right? They contradict each other, right? They don't make sense. So stack those yeses, stack those small wins, and then have it lead up to your I guess your big win or your big question.
Do you think it's more about them seeing that finish line or them confirming what they want, or them kind of, yeah, I don't know if that's also the confirmation bias. If they said yes multiple times and they don't want to go back on their own decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, I mean, everyone's different. Everyone sees the world differently. So that's the cool thing about psychology. There's so many different theories that like this may work on like this person, but that person, it's not going to, like, you could throw whatever discount or sell you want at me, but it's not going to influence, at least I don't think so. It won't influence my decision. But for me, I think it's super important to be able to put the final goal or the final state in the lead or the prospect's head. Like, have them envision where they want to go, and then you help them work towards that. And you get those small decisions or get them to, maybe it's a quiz on like, get them invested, or maybe it's asking them to like a post, which gets them invested. So you just kind of help them along the journey. But if they can see the finish line, then that's half the battle, in my opinion.
Okay. So a brand should kind of support the customer in the very beginning stages. And I like that you said like you need a couple of yeses before. I think that makes it easier to understand. And that a commitment could also be something like an action, like liking or sharing or saving. That makes them feel invested or committed. Okay, so the fifth principle of persuasion is liking. We're more easily influenced by people we like. The first thing I think of is influencer marketing. Or brands that have similar characteristics or values to yourself, or that the ones that you build relationships and have a genuine connection with, will help you buy from them and stay with them long term. Something in neuroscience there is the difference between wanting and liking. So wanting is this kind of dopamine reward motivation and you wanting to get to a point, and liking is the hedonic point of I have it and I like it. So kind of enjoyment of the moment, driven by serotonin. One example was that you could want a cigarette, or you could want to scroll on social media, but you don't necessarily like it, or you actually want to delete the app and quit smoking.
Yeah.
So this plays in addiction as well, I guess. But yeah, for branding, how would you go about creating liking rather than this wanting that always has to be outpaced by the brand?
Yeah, I think, I think first you need the wanting before you can get the liking. Okay. So like you said, liking is the conscious part and wanting is the subconscious. So there's two parts or two systems to the brain. The primal brain, which is the unconscious or subconscious, where we make all of our decisions. Like, I think it's like 90% of our decisions are made by the primal part of the brain. It's just on autopilot. It goes back to kind of the cognitive overload. Like, we just make decisions rapidly with, going with what's consistent, what feels easy, what's normal. But at the end of the day, you can't really control what you want. It's just this urge in you. Like, you want a piece of cake, or you want this, or you want that. Like, you can't control that. But as marketers or salespeople, you can, in a way, influence what people want emotionally. So you can use different emotional triggers. Instead of putting in your emails like all your product benefits, kind of try to talk to what people want. Do they want security? Everybody wants to be secure. So does your product speak to that? Not everyone, but most people want like a need for status. They want to feel special. So tap into that. Or people want more time with their family. So figure out how you can speak to that rather than just kind of listing product benefits or things like that. once you get somebody to want your product, then hopefully your product is good and they have a great experience and then they like your product. Now you're tapping into the rational part of the brain, or what they call system 2, which is where you make your heavy decisions, things like liking, your more critical thinking. So you have to pass through system 1, or the primal brain. You have to tap into that to get attention, and then that part of the brain will kind of tap in system 2, saying, hey, this is important, pay attention. Then that can kind of transition. So once you get them to want your product, then they can start to like. So I would focus on wanting first. I mean, both are important, right? If you have a crappy product or a bad customer experience, they're not going to like it. So you may have gotten one sale, but you're not going to get the second. So I guess both are important, but if I had to argue, you can't have liking without wanting first, in my opinion.
Okay. Would you agree that in order to, like, liking is more about creating a consistent relationship and brand loyalty after the first sale? And would you agree that a brand has to align with a customer's personal values and habits and lifestyle that they want to create for them to actually like a product, versus if someone wants to be healthy and then you trigger them to a cigarette or a cookie, they might want that in the moment and they might get it, but they would actually want to stop buying your product or service because it doesn't align to who they are.
Yeah, I think it depends on the person, because again, everybody is different, but I think it goes back to, kind of almost all the principles that we've talked about, but consistency, kind of who does this person want to be? Can we deliver that behavior? Can we match their expectations? I really believe that you have to get them to want first, and then, not everybody's going to like your product. If you don't meet their expectations, people are picky, whatever, everyone's different. You're not going to win everybody. But in order to be in the game, you have to get them to want your product first.
Okay. Also, is there a way to, I keep thinking about this baseline expectation, and if you kind of give so much value that it surges that expectation, is there a downside? Like, do brands always have to outpace their own performance, or is there space to have an average performance again after that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I don't know.
It's my big question.
Yeah,
in general, I don't think there's an answer.
I think I might, maybe in a year, because I just last year, we rolled out our new lifecycle marketing, but it kind of stops after your first year. So once you renew a loan with us, you don't get any more gifts. So we kind of
okay.
Yeah, we kind of give, kind of lure you in, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question. I guess I'm hoping that at that point they have such good I mean, my business is specific. This isn't kind of like for startups or anything. But I'm hoping that they build such a good relationship with their account owner that whenever they need anything, they're going to think of us. Yeah, because we've made that bond with them and connected. And that's a really great question though.
I think it transcends into, you're in it for the value and the community, which also, again, is now the 6th principle, called consensus or social proof, that people look to others and community for guidance. So showing that other people are buying this, or this is a bestseller, or 48 people on Amazon have also bought this because it relates to the product that you just bought. That increases the appeal. And you wrote about how that also goes back to neurological processes where you want to feel safe in a group, and it feels like danger or fear to go against a group. What do you how would you go about that?
I think I kind of teased this earlier, that I'm a big believer in social proof and community, and but now that I'm thinking about it, it's kind of like the discount deal or the scarcity deal. Like, is it wearing off? Like, now you go to every website and it's trusted by X amount of customers, or does that mean anything anymore? Are we kind of drying that out? But at the end of the day, like, people are people and we are social beings. We thrive on community. No matter who it is, everybody wants to feel accepted by somebody or belong to some group. If you think about like the caveman days, your likelihood for survival was exponentially higher if you were in a group. If you came across like a lion or something and you were by yourself, that's not good. That's only going to end one way. If you're in a group, still not a great situation. Hopefully you're not the slowest in the group, but it's engraved in us to want to be with people. And think about like streaming, like people on Twitch playing like streaming video games and things like that. They thrive off communities. People will hang out in there all day just to feel like a sense of belonging and connected with people that they'd never even like saw or met in person, but they have that sense of belonging. So we all find connections differently, and social media and social networks, even in some cases, there's research that gives like a false, which is dangerous, but it gives like a false, I don't know how to say this the right way. It kind of satisfies that need for social connection without actually getting it, because people are following celebrities or following influencers and think that they're like connected,
Friends.
even though think that they're friends and they're getting that fulfillment, but it's false. So I think it's actually a dangerous thing in a way.
I think it's interesting that it can even be digital, or that it's developed from an evolutionary perspective into a digital community that gives us satisfaction. I still don't understand how that can work, but it does.
I would argue that it's probably more digital now than it is like in person, which is kind of crazy. But that's just the way. It's just the way the world is now. I think it's only going. I think it's the what do you say, like the weight or the scale is only going to continue to go that way towards all digital. But
since you say that some of these email marketing and marketing techniques are starting to wear off, do you think that there's already a push to like fourth spaces and communities in IRL, in real life? Do you think that will be a push into the other direction again?
I do. Yeah, I'm pushing my team to, be more present at conferences and shows and get out there and kind of network. And that is actually interesting that you say that, because I think we are going to bounce back to kind of the old school in-person way. It's just too, like, AI is as good as AI is, and like as amazing. I mean, I use AI for everything. It's, in a way, it's a gift and a curse, I guess, right? Like, you just kind of lean back to, some of these influencer videos, you can use AI now to make influencer videos that aren't actually real people, but they look like they're real. It's crazy. Yeah. So,
and it's getting better and better and harder.
It's harder and harder to tell. Now, every time I see a video now, I'm like, is this AI? Is this real? Like, I don't know. And I think as more people start to realize that, like, AI is people, for whatever reason, are still not adapting AI or understanding it, but I think in time they will. And then I think, to your point, I do think it's going to bounce back the other way, and people aren't going to trust anything online anymore. It's going to go back to kind of these networking and IRL events and things like that, and connecting with people.
Yeah, I agree with you. But the online videos, I've also seen that people know that it's AI, or people comment that it's AI, and then another person comments, yes, but who cares? Just listen to what they're saying. So they only care about the message or the narrative. They don't care that this is a machine saying it. So I guess the story gets more powerful or the message. But again, I think it has to be human to actually trust someone. And then if nothing can be trusted online, I also agree that things will go back to in person.
Yeah, I think you need trust. Without it, it's gonna just get worse and worse, and trust is just gonna be more and more important. But it depends. Like there are people like that who you saw comment like, "Who cares? Like I don't want to talk to people. Like just give me the product or whatever it is." So, I keep saying it, but everybody truly is different. Um, but you need trust, and I think, like you said, I think it's gonna bounce back the other way.
Okay. Thank you so much, Evan. I have a last like overall or overarching question. Which of these 6 principles do you think is the most powerful or the most powerful in today's age, where people could use it in their day-to-day life or business, connecting it to AI and trust as well?
Yeah, I hate to give this answer too because it's in a way I'm like not answering, but I think that it all depends, and everybody should use all of these principles. As many theories you should test them all. Everybody's different. I see things differently than you see things, and maybe what I think is fearful, you don't. So like an ad may get my attention because it evokes fear in me, but you don't pay any mind to it because I don't know, like my dissertation, like a snake isn't threatening to you, so you're just gonna scroll right by. So everyone sees things differently. So I think it's super important that you try all these different theories. And with AI, it's so easy. Like you don't need to study psychology or you don't need a degree. You put your ad into whatever it is, Perplexity, ChatGPT, and say, take this copy or this social media post and give me 3 variants based on 3 different psychological theories. And then just test it and see which one works and lean into the one that works. And then on your next post, do the same thing and just continually test, because unfortunately, there is no one theory that rules over the other. I like to give, right? I like that bias to give, and then ask. That's kind of, but again, I'm weighted towards that because I've seen it work so well for me. But it's not going to work for everybody. So just try things. In AI, you should be, after every time you talk to AI, if you're dealing with it for sales and marketing, always pretend like you're a consumer behavior expert or a neuromarketing expert, or add these theories onto it. Give me different variants of different psychological theories for this post, something like that, and you'll be amazed at kind of what you get out of it.
Yeah. I think it's almost like the wanting versus liking. For wanting, you go through this statistical analysis almost and see what works on most of your audience, and then go with that persuasion. And then for liking, you actually have to go ahead and build authentic connection and personal connection, either with the ones on your team, or creating a community that people feel aligned to.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you need to. So there's system 1 and system 2 in the brain. You need to get the attention of system 1 before system 2. So the best way to do that is through emotion, or through things that we've talked about today, different psychological theories, being consistent or loss aversion. But once you do that, then you need to get them to like your product, and you need to be more genuine. You need to be more, not a kind of spray and pray or a blast approach. You need to be personal. You need to have that touch. You need to build the connection. Otherwise, they're not going to repeat. So,
yeah. Well, thank you so much. I thought this was a very deep conversation all of a sudden. It went into the future of digital marketing versus in real life. And I really think a lot of what we talk about or what you post on your newsletter goes back to these 6 core principles, because we still are human. So it's lovely to talk to you, and thank you so much for being here.
yeah, thank you so much for the time. I look forward to doing it again.